Hey there, Laurel here, and hold on to your boots because I'm making something a little bit different today. I'm going to make an interactive spinner slider card. I've been seeing them all over the web. I think my 5 favorite things just had a release and has spinner and dies and all kinds of fun stuff. So I created this spinner card, and this is it. It's kind of bopping all around. Now, I also watched a video that my friend Laura Sturks made as well, and she gave me the idea of using the pennies for my spinner. You'll see in a minute. Anyway, so to get on with it, I'm actually making this card for the current landscaping challenge, which is all about critters, and I wanted to make a critter spinner card here. So I've got my mini Misty, and I'm using Party Animal from Lawn Fawn. It also has the coordinating dies. And what I've done is I've die cut 2 circles from the Circle Stackables die set from Lawn Fawn in 2 different sizes. And I went ahead and die cut the larger circle on a piece of white cardstock there that I centered. And then I've die cut it in a smaller circle that we're going to use here in just a bit. So I'm using my mini Misty, and I'm using some of the small images from the Party Animal stamp set to kind of create this confetti background. And I'm using my mini Misty just so I can ensure I get good stamped images. So if I don't get a good stamped image the first time, I can just ink it up and stamp it again the second time just to make sure it's nice and black. I do that all the time. I don't ink up my stamp well sometimes, and I mess it all up. So I'm using my mini Misty for that. Now I've got some of the tinier images from that same stamp set, and I'm going in and kind of filling it in with the heart, the polka dot, just some small images here. And now we're going to do some Copic coloring. Now, I am not an expert with the Copic markers. Let me just be clear. I have a bunch, as you could see. I'm just not good with them. That's why I usually do watercoloring, because the water does all the work for you. But I decided to grab my Copics. I mean, I have them. They're an investment. If you're into the Copic markers, you know that they are, they're pricey. So I got to learn to use them better. So anyway, I'm just going in and just coloring. I have absolutely no idea if I'm doing it right, but I'm going to keep adding the marker to the paper, because I do know that the wetter the marker, the wetter the paper, the easier they are to blend together. So I'm just making sure that I'm working quickly to make sure that the marker doesn't have time to dry, and then I'm going in and adding more color. Now I'm putting the caps down there. Hopefully I do it for most of the markers so you can see what color I'm using if you're interested. And anytime I go outside the lines, you're going to see me grab my colorless blender and kind of erase it, because I am going to die cut these images. But it turns out that I'm going to use the lighter gray here, the cool gray, the C1, and I'm going to go around the outside of all of my images here. You can see I'm doing it right here because I didn't want a super bright outline here when I run it through my die cutting. So that's why I'm doing that. So I'm going to turn on some music here, and I've got to color all these little images on the other panel that we did, and these 3 more images on this card panel here. Now I don't think I mentioned it, I am working off of Nina's Solar White cardstock. This is actually the 110 pound. It's a really great cardstock for your alcohol markers. It blends very nicely. So I'm going to turn on some music while I finish all the Copic coloring. You can totally fast forward if you don't want to watch all the Copic coloring. I will not be offended, and I will catch you when we're done with that to finish off the slider. Okay, so we're done here. We got all the color added, and obviously you can color your images with any color medium you want. I just really wanted to try to use my Copics. You know, I'm surprised they're not dried because I rarely use them because I see all these artists on there that are just brilliant with their with their Copic coloring, and I'm jealous. I'm jealous because I can't do it. It's also that bear there. I actually pulled up, I went on Google and I typed in the name of the stamp set and I saw how other designers colored the bear, so I knew where to add the shading. It is totally okay to do that. I have absolutely no idea where to add shading, so I channeled my other designers and Google and figured it out. So anyway, I'm laying my panel over the top of my cardstock there, and I traced it with the circle. I traced the circle hole with the pencil. I didn't trace the circle with the circle because that wouldn't make any sense. And now I've got two different color distressing, Salty Ocean and Peacock Feathers, and I am very quickly, I'm not taking any time to worry about blending. I'm going to add these two colors to the inside of that circle. And the reason why I traced the circle is because I could see where I needed to focus to put all my colors there. And you can see the outline, see the little outline that the die cuts leave behind? That's why I went in with that C1 Copic marker, just so it wasn't a bright white. I wanted it to have a little gray. So there was a method to my madness. Yeah, there usually is. I'm mad. I don't know what to say. All right, so now I'm going to go in and add a heap ton of foam dimension. Now, I made a slider and I filmed it, and it's all in the garbage because I messed it up big time. I had never made one before. I didn't know what I was doing. So this time I'm going in and I'm adding my foam dimension, but I'm leaving a little room. I'm not adding the foam dimension right up to the edge of that circle because I need my penny to be able to slide around. In my previous shaker, I put the foam dimension and butted it up right up against the edge, and my penny could not move around to create the slider and the spinner portion. So that's why I kind of that's mistake number one that I learned from. So now I've gone in and completely put the rest of the foam dimension on the back of the card. I peeled off all the backing paper. I spared you having to watch me do that. And I went ahead and adhered that down to my card base there. Now I'm going to take some more foam dimension. Again, I'm leaving some room around the edge there. And I'm going to slap that down on the back of that circle panel and pop it up. Now here's the penny. So I've got two pennies that are glued together. They're attached together with a foam dot. Then I took another foam dot and put it on the top of the penny. Well, I just ripped it off. It's actually on the back of that bear. So those are two pennies with a foam dot right in the middle. Okay, that makes sense. Then I've got some foam dimension on the back of that bear, and I stuck it on my penny. Okay, and that's what's making the slider, and it's also what's going to make it spin around. Did that make sense? So my two pennies, there is a foam dot, a pop dot, or a square actually in the middle of the pennies, and then I've put a foam dot, which you could glue your bear down flat if you wanted to, onto the penny. All right, so now I've got my little cupcake. The bear is holding the little cupcake, and the bear's gonna have a little party hat as well in a minute. And then I put a little ice cream cone down there on the circle. So here's the spinner. See, it's kind of moving around. And this is my first time trying it. I'm like, is it gonna work? Is it gonna work? Is it gonna slide? Is it gonna spin? And woohoo! It did. I was super excited. So now my bear slides around in a circle, but it also spins around too. Couple of finishing touches here. I'm taking my Spectrum Noir glitter pen and adding some glitter to the cake and the ice cream cone, well, the ice cream on the ice cream cone. And then this is some glossy accents. I'm going to go in and put some glossy accents on top of my silverware, the fork and the knife. Just some very simple accents there, but it really makes the card sparkle and shine. And I didn't shake it again. I'm bummed. I thought I did, but it shakes. It spins. See, there's my bear upside down. Have a little party, a little topsy-turvy party there. So my very first interactive card ever. I mean, I gotta say I'm proud of myself because it didn't fall apart or anything. Well, my first one did. It's in the garbage. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. When you make your shaker, if you're using, not shaker, your spinner, if you're using a penny, make sure the image that you are adhering to the penny is bigger than the penny. Otherwise, you're going to adhere it down. It's going to be too small and you're going to see your penny behind it. Ask me how I know. All right. Well, thanks for joining me today, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.